Well, hello everybody. Today I thought I'm gonna make a little bit of different video clip. Usually this is mostly centered around my Allberg 37 sailboat. But as some of you may have noticed, or many of you, most likely everybody, what the heck am I talking about? There's a second sailboat on my property, and so this is what I want to talk about today. This is my friend's boat. We both decided to bring our boats to my property so we can work better on them. And this is a custom built, well, it's a professional build, but basically just by blueprints from, I'm not sure who was the designer because I forgot. Since it's not my boat, I wasn't really all that interested in it. But anyhow, so my friend acquired this boat about 5-6 years ago, and just like mine, needs a full restoration. And yeah, the boat, what I know about this boat is it's a roughly 36.5 foot long, approximately 12-foot beam, built very solid out of steel, and so, but needs lots of work, just like mine. And don't really want to get into the details between what are the advantages or disadvantages of a steel boat compared to a fiberglass boat. I just want to kind of more address it from the way of working on it. So yeah, and of course that's a huge difference. When you work with fiberglass, it's a lengthy process. As far as every time you do some fiberglass work, you usually have to wait at least, well, it depends on what you're using. If you use epoxy resins, depends on what the potting time is, anywhere between 30 minutes to a couple hours before you can do the next layers or continue on. As far as sanding the surfaces, it's usually at least a 12 to 24 hour period where you have to wait till it completely cures out before you can do some sanding. Steel, well, it's welding, because as everybody can imagine, the biggest problem on steel hulls is rust, especially when they come from saltwater environments like this boat did. And the pros and cons are, the welding is, you know, it can get tricky, depends on where it's at. I'm doing the welding using a small portable MIG welder, which works really great. I'm somewhat okay with welding. I can get it done. I'm not a professional welder, so if there's anything that I have to weld inverted, I'm gonna have a little bit of harder time. As long as it's straight surfaces, I do okay. The boat was built back in the days where you can, let me see if the camera can bring it out. The welds are visible. They were not completely well, so to speak, faired in or sanded off. And from what I understand, it's a choice of the person who builds the boat. If you leave the welds, yeah, let's see if it shows here. So yeah, so they're visible. So if you leave the welds, it's stronger. It's not as beautiful, but it's stronger. This boat was built as a pure blue water boat. I guess never meant to win any beauty contests either. So that's how they left it. And so that's to the welding. And well, my friend did sand the hull down, at least under the water line, to the bare metal. Osphoted, and then, well, getting the hull prepped for some more repairs and eventually barrier coats and protective coats and what have you, you know. We're even thinking about to fiberglass the whole hull over, at least under the waterline. I did a patch here, and so this works actually pretty good. This patch is on there for over a year now, not even prepped, nothing, it won't come off, especially if you use epoxy. But not sure yet about it. The matter of fact is, yeah, my friend bought this boat about 5 years ago from a different friend of mine who, she had the boat a couple of years before that, and we actually sailed the boat back from South Florida all the way to my place, and well, initially to Hudson, which was about a 300-mile trip. Boat performed well, but then the boat sat for approximately a year and a half in the marina, and no work was done, and it left to the elements there. So yeah, didn't work out too great. So then my other friend bought it, and at the moment, yeah, so this is his first boat, sailboat. Well, first boat period. He never owned a boat before. He was just fascinated by sailboats, and due to that he knows me and knew that I had sailboats before, or was owned sailboats, well, he thought it's just going to be a walk in the park, you know, and like many people, he got overwhelmed. So for about the past year or so, or a year and a half, he really stopped working on it, and it's kind of like a drag to him. He was looking for the instant gratification, which is, it doesn't come, you know. And so I'm doing the most of the work, because if I don't do it, it doesn't get done. I do finance with working on his boat. I finance my own boat, all the materials that I need for my own boat. Don't make lots of money, because I'm only one person, can only do so much. But it is what it is. And he has some patches what I did around the keel. I was indecisive if I should just fiberglass it shut, because what it is, I think this keel is just weighted down with a massive steel plate, and there was like some holes in there which wouldn't affect the hull itself, because it's just welded under the hull, but it's gonna keep eating in. And so I put those patches on there. I'm gonna probably fill them in with fiberglass later on before the barrier coats go over, but I'm not sure about this yet. So that's all. Let me see if I can go on top. Yeah, I want to make this video a little bit about this boat here. So then I was working on, well, like most of the time, fighting the rust, repairing the rust damages. And that's what I'm doing now. It's basically working on those tow rails. And yeah, I was initially thinking about fixing those rust holes by cutting them out, welding new metal in. The same with the top rail where the well, accessory rail was mounted on. But when I started welding on it, every time I hit the weld, I got a bigger hole in. So we decided now that instead of fixing the tow rail, getting rid of it and building it into a flush deck, just like this here. Started yesterday on it. It rained, created some surface rust, not a big deal. But that's how it's going to be. And then I'm going to simply mount the accessory rail on top. Just don't have a tow rail on the boat. Yeah, I already hear the damn complaints for all of you who think you control this and give me advice on it, why you should have a tow rail. Oh, work on your own boat, mind your business. That's how we do it here. So I'm not saying that and to be hateful, I'm just saying that everybody's got their own opinion about it. Our decision is this rather elevated tow rail on this boat traps dirt and moisture, and subsequently helps rusting the boat. If it ain't there, shit blows off, washes off, you know. And like me, my friend, he doesn't have any attachment, he doesn't have kids, he doesn't have wives or girlfriends or anything. It's just going to be him on the boat, just like me. So there's not even going to be lifelines on our boats, because lifelines are for pussies. Oh boy, this is not gonna go over well. I know. Lifelines have to be there, right? Yeah, okay. Anyhow, so that's the state I'm in on this boat right now. So I'm gonna keep cutting this really high tow rail. That's not even a tow rail, I don't even know what you call that. Yeah, so yeah, we did do the cabin top, did some welding there, and did a couple of coats of Rust-Oleum anti-rust paint just to keep it from rusting sitting here. So let me see if I can go inside the boat and show how it looks right now, because it's completely gutted. I'm gonna do a little walk over on this deck. So yeah, everything, well, most of the work on this boat is fighting the rust. And from what I can see now, since we're working on this boat, that's pretty much the biggest negative I can see on having to deal with a steel hull. Is keeping the rust off. Other than that, it has lots of advantages. For one, well, it all depends on how it's built, but this particular boat, I would say, is really much stronger than any wooden or even fiberglass boats. Especially with this keel. If you hit a reef in full power, you probably split the reef in pieces before that boat gets even a nick, you know. And having sailed this thing for about 300 miles through fairly rough waters. I mean, it's in the Gulf of Mexico, it's not like I was on the Atlantic. But yet we got hit with about like 8 to 10 foot waves in some kind of a little summer storms that happens around Florida a lot. At the time we took the boat back. And to my surprise, it felt like you're running on a freight train. That thing would not bounce up and down over the waves. It would just dissipate the waves. It just went through it like it just sliced through the water, like some huge hot carving knife through a piece of butter. It felt great. It heeled over, very subtle, and I even overpowered. I had pretty much all sails up. This is actually a cutter rig, but I didn't use it as a cutter. Just put a big Genoa front sail up there, stay sail. And yeah, this thing at one point in time it was running about close to 8.5 to 9 knots. You didn't even feel it, you know. I mean, it was really a great feeling, so I was impressed. But don't have any other experience with sailing a steel sailboat. For those of you out there and watching this video and actually have experience with steel sailboats, you probably know what I'm talking about. So let's see if I can go inside here. I'm building also on a new hatch and everything. So that has to be redone too. I don't know if I have enough light that this actually shows anything. I'm gonna try it. Yeah, unfortunately this is not gonna show much. Try to take some footage from the interior here, which is completely gutted, just unlike on my boat, but there's no lights in here because, like I said, my friend hasn't worked on it since he's overwhelmed. Hopefully he gets back to it, because if not, it's gonna keep sitting here and rotting. Yeah, this footage makes no sense. There's nothing to see. I'm gonna get back to this later, maybe. Depends on if somebody's interested to see how it looks inside. So yeah, showing the interior didn't work because I didn't have lights in there. And I want to go and mount lights in there and stuff like that for just for that purpose. But well, if you're interested to see the interior, just leave a comment and I'll probably dedicate another video on it. Like I said, this is not my boat, this is my friend's boat, and I'm just helping him to get it done. Personally, so my impression on now working on a steel hull, steel sailboat for a few years now, more or less, it wouldn't be my choice, because personally I would have problems with fighting this rust, and even though it does have advantages, it's not the price I would be personally willing to pay for it. If I wouldn't have my boat and somebody would have given me a boat like this, or I would have gotten it cheap enough, then I would be probably would try it, but I certainly would not switch from a fiberglass hull to a steel hull. I think it's a specific type of people who would tackle those things. And I'm sure if that boat is done, once it's done right, you know, like I said, it all depends on if my friend doesn't completely give up on it. But if he gets back to it and puts his mind and soul to it, maybe one day he's gonna have a really nice boat. And furthermore, this boat can take you anywhere in the world. You probably can drive through pack ice with it, because the way this thing is built, which unfortunately I couldn't show right now because of lightning, but this thing is extremely solid build. It has lots of stringers. I think it's almost overbuilt, and you can probably use it as an icebreaker. So this part there where yesterday I worked on cutting this tow rail off, and basically this is how it's gonna look like. I won't have a tow rail. Ah, shit, this I'm trying to use this gimbal here, which is not all that great. We'll do one more walk around here. The boat has potential, that's for sure. And it doesn't look bad. It has a nice shape to it, you know. It's got this what do you call it? Modified full keel, where it starts in the front like a full keel. Well, it's not a full keel in the traditional sense of a, let's say, a fiberglass or wooden boat. So this steel, it's by nature already heavier. And so in the back it has this arch cut out, or whatever this is supposed to be. But I think what this does is a trade-off between like a full keel and a fin keel, where everybody knows that fin keel boats are naturally faster than full keel boats, and they're also more nimble. So I guess that's what the designer had in mind. And the rudder is also keel hung. It's taken off right now because I did the work on the rudder. Also the engine is not in there anymore because we're not gonna go diesel engine anymore. We're gonna put an electric engine in there. That's where this part is where the foot is gonna get mounted for the rudder post or the rudder. And that's where it goes in. Not in there, of course. Yeah, that's that part. Do some welding in those areas too, because it was simply already rusted through. Going later on, I go back in and do some patches from the inside too, because this is a crucial area, of course, you know. And like everybody knows, a boat may sink if too much water comes in. Okay. Yeah, lots of work, like they usually are. Well, I guess that's it for now. That's all I can really come up with. Like I said, this was all just about just in case somebody's curious about that boat sitting here. When you see this in my other footages. Yeah, we had them transported pretty much at the same time to my property, which between both boats saves between $1,000 to $1,500 a month. That made up for the cost of transporting within a year. Besides that, if you have it on your own property, it's a whole different ball game. I mean, I can do whatever I want here. I can use any type of machinery. My friend actually sandblasted the hull at one point in time. Which you can all imagine that's pretty much nearly impossible to do in any boatyard, you know. And I also built those two little shed type of deals where we keep our basic supplies. And I think I showed this in videos before. I never really talked about it much. So these are just some work tables with a metal roof over, so keep all this stuff. Oh yeah, that's a little welding machine I'm welding on this boat with. But it's very convenient, you know, have supplies right next to the boat. Got a fan for the summertime, a light here, you know, for when it gets dark. And this one is right next to my boat. And I built a second one for my friend's boat. Same thing really. So that's where we keep all the supplies for his boat and some tools. Got this screen around here, and well, of course the usual fucking mess. But yeah, got a little vise here too. I tell you what, this shit comes in handy, you know. And I worked in boat yards before on my own boats, friends' boats, and they're just too restricted. And most boat yards require, of course, I don't blame them, that you can't leave nothing laying outside, because they also in return usually gets inspected by their counties or cities or wherever they're at, and they get in trouble if shit just lays around. So every time you work in a boat yard, besides the usual restrictions, you're also obligated to tidy up every time you leave the boat. Even if you come back the next day, they'll still say no, you have to clean it all up. Waste lots of time doing this, but for obvious reasons. Oh yeah, and this trailer here, this is going to be the trailer where I'm gonna transport my boat back in the water, because I got a truck big enough that it can pull it, and the trailer is strong enough. I may have to change the axles. I think they're 3,500 pound axles each, which would total to about, what would that be, like 9,000 pounds or 10,000, whatever you could cram on this thing. My boat is roughly 17,000. Well, it probably would be okay, but just to be on the safe side. But that's a different story. Okay, well, like always, thank you for watching. Oh, one thing before I end this video, and I really hate doing this because I watch lots of YouTube video clips too, and to me it's always annoying how in every video people pushing, you know, please hit subscribe and like buttons and the bell notifications and all that stuff. The reason why they're doing it is because the algorithm of YouTube requires that you actually may get paid one day, you know. If you watch my videos, or even just one video, it would help if you just hit that subscribe button. You don't have to do nothing else. It doesn't cost you anything. There's nothing that's gonna happen except it gets my account up in order to get some money from YouTube for the video clips, which is most likely never gonna happen in my case, since I have my account for over 12 years and never made a dime. But anyways, they have this thing, you have to have 1,000 subscribers, which I'm far away from, and at least 4,000 watched hours in order that they even consider monetizing. And I'm semi-retired, I don't have that much money, and I'm against those Patreon accounts and begging for money, because nobody really has any money to give away. But you know, YouTube makes lots of money. It's a probably billion or even $1 trillion company owned by Google, and their profit of every video that people put on there, with virtually never giving anything in return. So yeah, I think this is the only request I'm ever going to do on my channel here for people who are watching this. If you just would please hit that subscribe button, I appreciate it, you know. I mean, if you don't wish to, of course, you know, that's it's your personal choice, you know. But again, thank you for watching, and everybody who's in the same position what I am, working on those boats, wish you the best, because we all know what it takes. We all share the same passion. Thank you. Bye-bye for now.